So in this one, I'm going to show you a little bit more complex way to set up your coaster. So we've kind of worked from very simple cutting through to putting an image on, putting a piece of text that you're raster burning into that. On this one, this is a little bit more custom, so I've added my own text in there, an image in there, and then I've added a little arc in here to kind of finish my design. So I'm going to show you this one kind of from scratch here. So again, I'm going to start a new file just like we've been doing, 4x4 RGB color. I will be going back into my page setup, and I'm going to select background, and again, this is just, I like to work on a light background to separate it from the rest of the document. Make sure that print and export background is not checked, and you want to check your grid. Snapping grid's always nice. I'm going to hit OK on that. Now this one I'm doing a circle on, and I'm going to grab this grid corner and drop it down on this one. Again, if you need to resize that, you can do it here. If it ended up that it was not an ellipse like I showed you in the last one, if it turns into an ellipse here, you will have to unlock the X and Y so that you can type in the same value for each one and make that a circle, and then recenter that at 2x2. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and lock that so I don't move anything. So we'll select our object and go to right click and lock our object. And now I'm going to drop my image inside. I'm going to go to File, Import, and I'm going to grab that other Eagles logo that was just in black and white. That looks pretty good. So I hit import on that, bring that in. So that looks pretty good size-wise. Now this image looks pretty good. It's pretty crisp. You can see there's a little bit of pixelation around the edge. So I'm going to do an image trace on this just to clean it up. So I'm going to do just a detailed logo trace. We'll reduce that size on there, and we'll let this process through. I have selected to delete the background image, and we'll hit OK on that. And now when I go in, you can see the edges are much cleaner. It's going to give you a little bit nicer burn. So I'm going to drop that in the center there. I can always resize this later, but I'm going to make it somewhere around that size. I want to make sure it's right in the middle, so I'm going to make it 2x2 because our document's 4x4. And I'm going to leave that there for now. Now I'm going to add some text in here. So I'm going to go to the text tool, and I'm going to hover over that. If you see how it selects edge and it gives me that little squiggly line there, that's going to allow me to type along here. So I'm going to go in all caps, type in Philadelphia there. Now I'm going to select that, and I'm going to change my font. I'm going to use the Varsity font for this. This is a font you have to download if you want to use it. And then I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to move it now. So I'm going to just kind of slide it in a little bit, and I'm going to center that. So that looks pretty good. I can kind of look off my grid lines. I got maybe a little bit less space on this side, so I might just, pull that over just a little bit, try to center that up as best I can. Clicked on that. We want to make sure we get that little squiggly line coming up with the edge on there, and then we'll try that again. So we are selecting text, setting our font that we want, and then I'm going to have to flip this so that fits in there, and then I'm going to move that kind of down in position there. That looks pretty well centered. Now those are pretty tight. If you wanted to, you could get into a little bit of spacing there. You could go in to some settings, and if you want to, one of these is character spacing. You could try to increase this maybe if you want to spread those letters out a little bit. That's up here under text settings or text properties. You could stretch some of those things out if you want to try that. And then in the example that I showed you, I had a little stroke here to kind of clean that up, so I'll show you that. All I did for that is I drew another circle. So I started in, and I drew another circle in there, and it lined up nice. And instead of setting this one to hairline, I chose like a thicker line weight, and then I'm going to left click on the black here. No, I'm going to left click on no fill, and it's right click on black, or right click on any color that you want to change that to. So I'll right click on that little black swatch. Now notice it's going through the text there, so I want to get rid of a piece of that. So I'm going to start next with just a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle kind of right around my text, and that's going to allow me to do a little bit of trimming here. So I want this rectangle to be pretty close to where my text is, so it allows me to trim that out. So I'm going to tuck this in a little bit. So I'm going to trim kind of right at that spot, and I'm going to also do that at the bottom at the same time. So I'm going to do another rectangle down here. You could also use a line where you want to cut. Rectangles just hitting two spots at once. And then I'm going to bring up my virtual segment deleter. So you may have to hold down on your left mouse button and do virtual segment delete. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to draw a line over that little section, and it's going to cut out that little piece for me. And we'll go down here, get rid of this piece and this piece, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to try object and break apart curve. Let's see if that breaks that into individual segments for me. Alright, there we have an individual segment. I can delete that curve, and I can delete this one. I can get rid of this box that I used for my virtual segment delete, and then I can save that. And again, I would save to OneDrive. Next video I'm going to show you how to put kind of all these things together.